Good evening, Captide crowd. ETF2L's own 6 vs 6 Season 52, Summer 2026. Top Division rolls forward toward a promising fixture. Expose me! Expose me! Seek to apply pressure on the Gremlins. I'm positive this sentence has never been uttered before, and I'm confident even a couple of gamers are new to the highest division of ETF2L. As far as the early doors go, Ben passes long balls of visual content to our stream. Turbo apparently didn't hear the whistle. Hey Turbo, we're live.
Oh, we're live. Yeah. I'm awake. I'm alive. I'm still here, watching some top season. I've been spamming the top season, I should tell you. So I'm an expert at it now, Domator.
You look quite expertly at me, but honestly, I have 3 top tips for you for the top division already, for the Gremlins. So do get your notepads ready, Turbo. For Gremlins, no bright lights, do not get them wet, and never feed them after midnight.
Oh, wow. We should really write this into a script or something. This sounds like gold. Make a banging film, I think.
Brilliant. Already, we have some meme talk out of our bases. We have a sub-base map banned, by the way, picks and bans before we lead straight into rosters. Bagel ban for the Gremlins. Expose me, expose sub-base for them to be their first ban. Product then picked. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that, but I guess Yak teams with Alof on it. Sniper? Question mark. That definitely does make sense to me after that Granary pick by Gremlins. Do you have any choice words, any thoughts about that?
They're a tenacious DM heavy team, I would say. Like, I think any kind of Yak team kind of thrives off chaos, and product is almost like pre-packaged chaos. And you can always rely on those sort of sniper mains to kind of sell you away a little bit. It's maybe a kind of fun point that the evolution of TF2, where the Russian teams now are a little calmer than some of the EU teams on the King of the Hill map, but I'm talking from like a very gone by age. So I'm not surprised too much by the pick from Expose Me in this. I guess they tried to stem the bleeding a little bit on Gremlins by banning Bagel. It's less so chaotic. It's more just like it takes a lot of coordination, and we're still at week 2. So I think they've got a lot of growth in them, these teams, before they want to start tackling the Bagel Beast.
Maybe Bagel Beast, that's quite a mouthful, I shall add. But speaking about gone by eras, let bygones be bygones. Still talk about the Gremlins, though, as on the very first week 1 game, essentially. I mean, there's no second week 1 game, but you get the gist of it. They lost 6-0 versus the Plucky Luckers, which is a game that is ongoing on our simultaneous stream on essentials.tf, but you're on printstream.gg. Anyway, in week 1, they had a 2-1 loss on Process, the Gremlins against the Plucky Luckers, and a 2-4 loss on Granary. But quite an exciting and interesting game. I will go into the storyline once we head toward Granary, on Granary. And expose me. I'm pretty sure you casted that game, Turbo Tips. You should have some insight. That was a 3-3 against Garda Panteri.
I did, yes. This is a team that is still, pretty early, pretty new. So they've got some mistakes, but they've certainly got some personality and pizzazz about them. They were a lot better than I thought they were going to be coming out of week 1, to say they've kind of banded everybody together. And you can see a bit of like wisdom from Yak kind of stirring the ship a little bit. There is some interesting points as well from that cast. I casted it. I was calling out Air a lot for saying like, oh, this guy, I only really know him from all his days of spamming centers, but he quickly corrected me. He did not spam those centers, at least not compared to the rest of his teammates. So I will retract that. But yes, probably the most notable thing there, if you're living under a rock, Air does come from Oz Fortress. He is quite actually experienced, maybe one of the more experienced players on his team to a high level TF2. He just needs to kind of get reacquainted with it now, because it's been a long time,
I will make myself famous now. Not popular. Who wants to be popular? Only want to be famous. I will put Ben on the spot. Do we have a graphic for the rosters? And then I will put Turbo on the spot. But no, we don't. Perfect.
Okay.
Expose me. Have Sauki on the Pocket Scout. We know Sauki very well. Air, then you've been talking about this guy, Turbo, on the secondary scout class. Alof on a soldier. Watch, Body, Gino watch on
Yeah,
Soldier.
you got it.
Yak on Demoman, Robert on Medic. As for, sorry, I'm going to be greedy this time around, for the Gremlins, Utka on Pocket Scout, Mon, or previously known, I didn't forget that, don't worry, Mr. Epic on the secondary Scout class, Plucha on Soldier, DQZ on a Soldier, Sano on Demoman, and Mad Mag on a Demoman. I wanted to say I will make myself famous and not popular too. I will put you on the spot. There are two members in this lineup out of those 12 gamers that haven't played Prem before. Who are those gamers?
I need a visual, so let me just grab the team things just to make sure. So I think you can rule out people and expose me. I must be a double Russian affair, I guess. Let's have a look at the Gremlins lineup. Is it Pluxa and Sano?
No.
Whoopsie.
I worded it weirdly. I mean, there's one player on Expose Me that has Prem experience, and there's one player on Gremlins that hasn't Prem experience. So
all right, let me flick back. Let me flick back one more time. So it can't. Well, I guess technically Air.
You're correct.
Yeah. But I guess because he was doing stints in Oz Fortress. So there we go. Technical correction. The best kind of correct. Oh, we're technically going live.
We're technically and very productively heading straight into product. Expose me on the blue team here. Let's see who is exposed after all. Gremlins in the red. And I said it before, Air has his debut here in Premiership, or in the top division, I should rather say. Mon immediately on Sniper. Goodbye, Air.
Oh, well, and then goodbye, Medic. They actually counter with a sniper pick with a Medic pick. Alov even getting the counter snipe against the sniper, so they can kind of play this a bit steadily. And now it's very telegraphed of what the Russian team needs to do. They need to try and get on top of Robert and equalize these Medic situations, but they can't do it, I'm afraid. And yeah, it was kind of interesting. You don't see double sniper straight from the get-go from many teams nowadays.
We see Yak being plummeted down to 14 HP. Doesn't even receive a healing bolt on the opposing team's cliff area now. Mon has the aggressor's advantage, but eventually Alof with 2 frags that definitely helped his team very much indeed. And still peering toward the enemy team. I am liable to not call out Seno is the secondary player, by the way, without Prem experience. He's jumping in now, and the force is out.
Yeah, they do get the force, but this is okay. There's a bit more time taken away from the clock, so being forced is actually not the biggest deal in the King of the Hill format. It's almost kind of like ideal in a way, isn't it?
That was easy. Pick by Wooch jumping on Mon. He was the last one falling down. The forward hold still able to be established.
Okay, this is a bit surprising because usually a team with an Uber charge advantage doesn't really want to be held forward again. So they can just pop Uber around the corner, but this is such unconventional play that they just didn't see it coming. They lost that pick. And now you've got a sniper, you've locked down one player. It's annoying to kind of push out with the Uber a bit.
You can also ream out flank players that are not aware that there's a combo staring you down. Now Seno is leaping up to the air here. Can he find anything? Not the air, by the way. He's on the opposing team, but now the Uber is over. They're shooting the soldier from the flank out. Wooch, though, is kept alive. The sniper also body blocking. Nothing really is found. A body shot onto DQZ. 6k for Alof.
Yep, nicely played by Wurz, just playing the health pack, kind of giving the rope to the enemy team to hang themselves with, and just kind of little novel mistakes. They will pop Uber over on Expose Me, and they will lose Alof in all the crossfire, but it could be better, it could be worse for either squad.
Utka is behind. He's still behind. Not checked. And they haven't listened to their sniper as well, it seems, as Alof probably called for that. Utka was behind them for 20 seconds. Comes in, runs in. Medic down. Mild airship.
Oh, that was nothing but mild. Oh my god, Mon showing up on the sniper class as well. Okay. Hello, all love and goodbye. I guess showing that he's not kind of scared. His confidence hasn't dropped to say he's been picked off by Alov a few times.
Absolutely not. Mr. Epic is here to slay. Also, Wooch gave himself vision by jumping toward the left side of his spawn area so he can peek across. But Air makes way now with an air blast. Yes.
Well, you can't air blast that, but they will get Yak in the forward to get Mon out of the game. But Yak is very isolated right now, and he's going to get picked off along with Alov as well, who wanted to do the forward sniper for some reason.
I need to remind you, both teams basically take the brunt of their time down with forward holds, and Gremlins seem to come out with at least 50 seconds and ticking.
Yes, but they've got a lot of time to climb back, and they had such a strong start over on Expose Me, so they can kind of still take it relaxed and cool here. Alov's still rocking that sniper despite Mon kind of popping off for a moment here. I like this. I think any good sniper should still be counter-snipered, even if there's a gap. Yak, speaking of, will get picked off by said sniper, and, well, they're just seeing if they can weasel out the point. They actually go for a solo YOLO Uber, and the responding kind over on Gremlins. Air will divide things up and get the sniper pick. That's a kind of a drop ball from Gremlins, and Air's still creating a lot of pressure, and Robert still keeps himself alive on his half of the map. I've jinxed him though. He will go down to Pluxer, who is actually rocking the scout class for his team while they're running the sniper.
Good chase by Plucha after the Uber had faded, but it was again dictated in the early parts of it by snipers. One sniper gets minus 150 on the enemy demo, but the problem is Mon has a full headshot onto Yak, so that definitely did not help their efforts. In the afterfight though, it was decently salvaged by the red team. You still have to keep in mind though that Expose Me had a strong lead in terms of time before that, and they have immediately recapped this. Mad Mac does feature a slight Uber advantage.
Yes, 20 seconds left. Air picked off. This is probably the time to make the comeback for Gremlins. They even get the pick off onto Yak as well. They can just, they have Woods come in for free. Maybe try to play hero there because of the just players dropping one by one. When really they could have just done with just solidifying a bit more. Maybe kind of hoping each other's backs. They will get picked off as well on Soki, who overextends, and Yak is back in the fight, and now I worry that they're going to lose this fight 3v6.
Mr. Epic is back if you have not checked him, but Mon, one by one, picks them apart. Maybe expose me, pick this map, but they're being exposed instead as Elof doesn't really hold a candle, well, only ephemerally here to Mon, but he is shot to low HP. Can they now travel, traverse, migrate to the left and have their Uber pop to the right? It is bluntly used on Air.
Goodness. Yeah, and Woj again trying to play hero, going to the other side of the map, but there's no real follow-up to be had, and God, Mr. Epic does not turn down the juice. He just keeps going and keeps supplying. They're stuck in the corner, the wolf is at their door, and they will take a bite out of the medic. They do make a collapse though, coming out, trying to save their buddy medic, but it'll have to be just revenge kills, and unfortunately Mad Mac is still alive and well for the Gremlins.
Let's diagram this incoming fight here, but no one steps on the point. They blocked it, body blocked it essentially. I was so ready to narrate this dry fight, but apparently no one stood on the point, and Gremlins pulling back so strong. That was epic. Let's call it Mr. Epic. I mean, expose me. Very decent forward hold. Tick down a lot of time, but Gremlins reciprocating, then an Uber change, but that was mostly prompted due to snipers being of an importance, and Mon kept delivering. Basically, for me, MVP of this round.
Yes, the MVP will still be rocking the sniper class, but Alov is switching it up. He's going on to Soldier alongside Woosh and seeing what they can make happen. And Alov immediately taking the sniper out of the game, and the Woosh has done some shenanigans on flank as well. Really bought a lot of space, these two soldiers, for their team to just kind of sail away with this first mid.
Soldier superior to sniper? Question.
Let's calm down here. It's still product at the end of the day, and Mon has been taking over for 90% of the game so far, so he will come back. He will have an opportunity for his revenge. Now it's kind of up to Robert and company to see if they can kind of shut him out.
They're at risk at maybe being too stubborn, but there's already Air charging so aggressively forward, and it allows so much opening here for the Uber to be popped and not really watched early on, but eventually they fight off auxiliary players. Mad Max still staying in the pocket area though, not out of harm's way yet, only with a demo man being forced in such a passive position.
Good has an enemy here. Tomato, and it is perfection. They wanted the perfect Uber, I think, out of Mad Mac if they wanted to actually take it, but they just held on to it for so long that dropping like flies one by one, and this Uber was getting less effective, and by the time it finally came out, now it was just useless. But they will come back, they get those faster respawns, and they're just going to keep the chaos a-flowing as Mon needs to be addressed, otherwise these snipes will just keep ringing out.
Ambitious 1v2 by Soki, who only then reloaded the scattergun. 1v2 against the enemy scouts will not help him though. Elof jumps in, Mon down. Robert lives, so does Mad Mag, but already akin to the very first round, a sizable lead in terms of time for Expose Me.
They will capture the point, denying Mon a bit of respawn time, so they can actually push into this pretty unscathed by a sniper. Robert, feeling a little love, has popped off the Uber to keep air alive, and they push across. They need to find the medic. Mad Mac has been identified, but he has enough time for his Uber charge to come out of the woodwork and even get a sneak capture point before the Uber arrives onto it to block.
It is also important to note here that not only did Mon go down, but it meant they didn't have a second soldier to leap up in the sky, and that could have definitely helped their efforts charging forward. It was better predisposition for Mad Mac as in the prior force we've seen, where he was only solitary with a demo man in main, but the double scout was not able to unleash enough hassle. Mon immediately responds in kind here, Yak down, and a domination to throw into the fray as well. Elof is making landfall, not really finding the follow-up rocket though, and being plummeted down by Plucha.
Yeah, he's just it's like a lightning rod, this sniper, because if any aggression he feels, his team going to feel pretty free to attack that aggressive player, and if they don't address the lightning rod, well, it starts striking lightning itself. Look at all the kill feed. It is literally just Mon.
And he doesn't even care to get headshots or body shots, because those were 3 consecutive body shots. As a 3K, I take that. 21 frags, 8 deaths, and a few assists as well for good measure. Elof is trying to create some space, but Robert, with a sizable Uber disadvantage, he was caught out in the early parts of that fight, and maybe a suicide attempt or pressure the point to force them that way.
Oh, Robert, knocked into the air, brought down very low, will go down and end up losing his life. So no Uber charge really to be punished here, as they just pop off the 3 Uber over on Gremlins, and this is looking very tidy. They will claim some time back now, but it kind of makes me wonder, like, where is the clock for Gremlins? It feels like they've been winning for a majority of the game, but the clock says nay.
Can you read my mind? Get out of my head. I was going to point out the exact same thing. I mean, Robert goes down 2 to 3 times, Mon on a killing spree, but the players that were still in the forefront were the front runners to, well, then detect players that went aggressive. Elof detects Mon, who is down now on China, and Wooch is taking up to the air, scaring them, and eventually being plucked out. Mad Mac leaves. Robert on a mild Uber disadvantage, but you have to charge forward here. Yak already has some stickies, and they have to travel through this little bit of a pocket area. A lot of early entrance door damage.
Yeah, there's just not really much attempts at trying to get Mad Mac and his Uber away from him. It's more just like making these Ubers costly in time or costly on just like output. And they're just seeing if they can sneak kills here and there all across Expose Me. And DQZ going for a Hail Mary jump and won't find it and will jump themselves behind, but they need to get bodies onto point right now if they want to hold on to this round.
Soki bossing now, and they can protect this here with the healing beam and a last ditch attempt, but not to be, and it is a tie out. Incredible. I mean, convincing for me, honestly, in the narrative here for Expose Me. Expose Me played that very well, lost Robert 2 to 3 times, didn't really matter in the end, made it, as you said, costly for the enemy team to push in, and I cannot ignore this name for any longer. Mad Mac. I mean, what is the definition of madness? What is the definition of Mad Mac? I suppose it is sometimes being isolated and forced in uncomfortable scenarios.
Yeah, if this was Team Deathmatch, it would be a different story. It feels very much like the Gremlins have that sort of footnote, but the scouts have to play so passively around their flank, around Mon to just keep him alive, then that means less presence to really hang out on this point. It's only when the timer and all the players are kind of like pushed down into brinks of zero that they actually start showing up.
We can keep on babbling, because what just happened didn't really matter. I mean, they won the mid-fight, but that was pure deathmatch. Pure deathmatch. Utka and Plucha running circles on the enemy team, running around them, encircling them, entrapping them, ensnaring them, and shooting one player apart, then another one. That was perfectly played from the high ground, and the soldier also distracting some viewpoints. Mon already stares down the main area, minus 150 on Yak.
Yep, Air is going to be the sacrifice because Yak took a hefty little body shot, so he had to stay behind, get a couple of medical attentions, and Air left pissing in the wind. They pop off Uber. I like this play because an Uber exchange is a lot more frantic and annoying for a sniper to deal with, and sadly their behind play from Alov does get sussed out pretty early, and he doesn't really get backed up by anybody else on Expose Me. They just wanted to go for a very clean reset there, so a bit of like not on the same page for Expose Me.
That is the product I'm used to. I can grow accustomed to this. The scouts are dominating this very round so much. Utka and Plucha help even with Mon with those patented body shots. You do not care. You do serve out this follow-up survey here from Elov. Are you dead? The answer is no, and it was a rhetoric question at that, but eventually that is almost a measly cap there. Instantly it is kept away from you and you lengthen your own spawners.
Yeah, again, just that not the same page I was talking about, where these teams seem to be going, and if they could make these go plays happen at the same time, they would be really effective, but they just come lagging behind one another. Like Yak and the combo went in, they died, and then the soldiers come in. It should be the other way around.
It is, though, a stimuli of Elov always jumping on Mon and behind the enemy team, but now the glimpse of immortality does fade, and who does that favor? It is Utka, though, running around, and a two-shot that was Vuj, though, responds in kind with the help of Yak. The explosive damage classes come in strong here for Expose Me, but before that Utka and Plucha had already inflicted the damage, and the timer is still ticking down for them. Finally Elov stepping on that point, bossing 1v1, come at me, but he leaves.
Yeah, the sort of little thing about Expose Me is they are letting their respawners respawn before capturing the point. They don't really concern themselves like that over on Gremlins. That might be why they lost the previous round, was just inefficiencies like that. And I will point out, though, for Expose Me, Woj just did that Roma thing where you just go behind so hard that you leave your team dead for dead, because you just spend so much time traveling, your team is dying, and then when you finally turn up, yeah, you get the medic on an unexpected angle, but you've lost the fight.
The problem is, an upfront scenario, what he just tried there, didn't work out either, because was instantly thrown into the meat grinder. Mon shoots Robert down to almost single-digit HP, and that can unleash the chase here. DQZ has a damage call, and they're absolutely clumping them in their own cliff area. Good night. I mean, Yak protects himself, but Robert is the crucial frag, surely.
Yeah, I see a lot of these teams where they play 5CP, they're very good at like doing these fakes with their soldiers and like, you know, circumventing where the attention should be and where it's coming from. Oh, by the way, Miss Epic still sniping Yak, and there we go, they throw in two soldiers now. This is a better jump, but just doesn't really hit with the same prowess and rockets that they were hoping for, and plus there was just no hope. I think it was more like a suicide wave, if I'm honest. But yeah, they just don't really fake at all, or they don't really transcend or attack the flanks so much. It's more kind of like, again, just attacking the blob, and hoping that they are better than the blob, which is a bit arrogant to say.
Assisted suicide or augmented homicide, those scouts and Mon always minus 150. You can basically rewind it back on Yak, and it is an uber pop now. Mon being shot down in the backlines to so low on HP, and it's a much longer glow here for Expose Me. They can absolutely reap the fruits. Gremlins not realizing that their uber would fade so soon, and that the enemy team had already uber in their own banks, and that was a misplay. Finally, a genuine uber misplay.
Yeah, just a little drop of the ball from Gremlins, and because you can see when they're not unified, they are much weaker in these sort of 1v1 skirmishes. These are the strengths, I would say, of Expose Me. If they can get you down in the mud and make it like a 1v1 affair, they're going to out-MGE you every time. But it seems to be more this lightning rod call sniper unit that seems to be doing strong for them. But when they have to break away from that by just popping in an Uber, for example, it starts to crumble.
I think a different scenario is also at hand here. They didn't suicide their soldiers in this time around, Expose Me, but eventually it is Yak, though, coming forward here. Look, Senno crumbles at the wayside. Plucha is also shot down. DQZ wants to squeeze water from stone, some explosives into the opposing team's medic, but he does keep alive. Elov shoots Mon's head apart. Utka, though, still hides.
Sadly, they haven't really changed gears over on Gremlins. You've got overtime. That means you just need to capture the point. So doing sort of a little teetering play is a lot more beneficial than actually going home for the gold and going for those massive plays behind and going deep into enemy territory. Why not just play it slow? You even add to this by using your sniper who likes to play slow like that.
Utgar simply played hide and seek. Eventually didn't reap any results there. Also 55 seconds, that is still a lot of time, but not if you keep on bleeding your players in idiosyncratic suicide attempts of creating space. Mad Mac didn't die. Utgar now waits for his team to come close. We see another genuine approach, and this time it's U-turn flipped. They have 100% on Robert, Elof is on Sniper, and Gremlins have to walk forward.
Okay, they don't want to bleed anymore. It looks like they just want to wait for the Uber, and then looks like they're definitely going to play it slower this time. But this is getting kind of dangerous timing here, but every sort of trade they can make at this point is going to be winning in the book of Gremlins. They just need to play an okay game, and they should have this.
Robert goes down to around 50 HP. That forces the Uber so blatantly early, and Utgar is still enabling his shoot-to-kill mechanic here as he's searching for players that are not Ubered. Voyage is the very first one to fall down, but Air and Soki tear him a new one. It is Pucha walking in significantly later. They're losing their grip here. They're faltering in one by one. They had that round in the palm of their hands.
Again, they can play the point a lot more than they would like to, it seems, for this round. That's the ultimate sort of chokehold a little bit, and because it got pushed into that little time, Expose Me did exactly that. They were just fighting around the point, playing around the point, blobbing up a little bit more. As good as Mon is and the sniper, he can't snipe 6 people at the same time.
Gremlins almost played arrogant, it feels to me. Wasted 1.5 minutes by not really doing anything, sticking around, hiding in weird scenarios, trusting into Utgar and Pucha, but if they don't have any ground, and if there are no blue players forward, if there are blue players forward, you can frag them all down. Mon headshots Yak, I suppose that works. Can Robert live on 1 HP? He cannot. Those 2 scouts are still lethal. I think they claimed everyone here.
Yeah, the scouts did really well at farming these soldiers. I thought it was actually a really good jump synchrony between these 2 soldiers, jumping across and making an attack on Cliff, but they were just right place, right time, it seems, with their shots as well. So now it's going to be a tall order. They have to push into a sniper, and they've got an Uber charge to bail them out if things go paired.
Fundamentally, Expose Me is ransacking their own left side and allowing the flank to be exploited. Mon immediately responds with a headshot, but will that matter since he doesn't really have a sideline on the point right now? Elof also has some deep ground drain for himself. Mon drops down. Can he find another one? No, also the point was snuck in below and underneath their noses, but Robert falls down to the infernal ground.
Damn, it seems, I guess, Yak and company are like the secret members of Gremlins, because all their team died, and they're like, I'm just going to cap this point for 2 seconds and just extend your respawn time, just for no reason, really. They didn't even get much time off that. What? It was like 5 seconds?
And most importantly, they could have simply backed out and don't have your medic die in a seemingly weird scenario, honestly. Elof is still in a forward position here, Mon and Senno both being caught. That is very much helpful if you do not have to stare down a demo man. No sticky traps and no pipe spam.
Okay, they still got Mad Mac on with the Uber charge. They're going to double chariot scout this in because they spot the medic. They did not see this coming at all. Usually teams that stay back with the sniper can't really make this play happen, but this is the plan B. They do go so deep though that Mad Mac has to go down, and now who's 2 scouts versus the world? And actually I think the world is actually punching back. Sano's come back in, and we're just really throwing things into the meat grinder at this point. But keep in mind, a meat grinder is good for Expose Me because they actually hold on to the point during this.
Vooch eviscerated a Senno, but the world was 1 scout and he battled against 2 scouts, which is probably still kept alive. Yes, they want to, exploit a bit of forward hold here. It really seems to me as Soki is walking on forward, followed up on this damage here.
Oh my god, Bluxer! Bluxer is like, get out of the way, I'm trying to shoot your medic, and just bitch slaps poor Woods. Jesus.
So that was a wraparound. Expose Me had wonderful damage from their soldiers in main, and Soki ran in, Air ran in, but they didn't check their backlines. Plucha ran in even further behind and killed them all.
All right, hopefully Gremlins have a short-term memory here, because they made a forward hold happen, and they get punished and picked off for it. Oh god, Mon just managed to turn around these arrogant sniper plays, and he's brought down low. Look at the health of actually Gremlins. They're all so weak. If Soki knew, he probably could make magic happen, but he doesn't know. He has to just go off the word of his teammates, and they're probably just saying he's so low, and you just don't believe him, do you, when you're playing the game?
I mean, look at the health bars of the red team, but look at the team numbers of the blue team. Only Soki left alive. That one is absolute collapse. They all tried to gang up on Mad Max. Also, decent shot here by Mon. Also, Robert peeking his head a bit over the protection of the fence, almost surfacing into the Infernal Abyss.
Oh my goodness, Mon is like, that was a hero shot and a half. They really needed that medic kill to give them hope to come back in from their respawn. So that is very clutch from Mon. I mean,
why does Robert keep peeking his head like on a shooting range? Honestly, I'm so confused.
They're just ignoring Mon at this point. I think they're kind of fighting around him and hoping that the chaos is enough to kind of like dissuade Mon from playing the game he wants to play. Anybody can snipe in a really cool, calm situation, but Mon seems to do it under pressure.
You know what I spot? Robert switches to crit streak, and that's another stratagem we have not seen yet. Elof also removes DQZ's head, but immediately responds in kind. He is gone, so says Mon. 1-on-1, we still battle here, and Wooch, though, is destroying the Danger Man so far. Robert still ticking up, already on 75% of crit streak. Senno doesn't really find an entrance door. This Uber doesn't reach any real results.
Yeah, they were just really obsessed with Wodge during that Uber for some reason, when I think you have to keep your eye on the prize, which is Robert. They need to get this Uber, or I guess they would suspect it would be Uber, out of Robert's hand, but they've got the crit screen now. This can be quite a tide turner, because I don't think they'll expect it. Soki goes down. Crits coming through! It will get the pick onto Mon, Oka, and Alov will even pick off the straggler, and that is some delicious time needed for Expose Me.
The eyes on the prize here from Yek, and also
what is Alov doing? How the hell did he get that shot? What kind of animal goes that close range at sniper, knowing confidently you're gonna get the trade?
You know what they always say? It's impossible to not headshot me if my hitbox is your entire screen, if you're up so close. But already Wooch is in behind. Doesn't really find anything consequential, though. Also being shot by the SMG. But he has a wonderful position. So much damage onto Mad Mac. Followed up by Yek. He doesn't even need a crit streak for that. Air also tramples in forward. Can they migrate into a favorable position? It doesn't seem to be beyond the faculty here of the Gremlins to still gain ground, gain cap time, and also have some decent damage numbers being flung up. But Robert close to crits.
The objective has changed, it seems, for Expose Me. They just all turned around and it was like, it's now, but we're playing a different game. We just need to win one more capture. So expect them, I think, by this sort of call that they're going to know how to play this point.
They have to liberate Robert of his own life, but
crits?
Yes, he is playing it back so he doesn't get killed. Crits doesn't make you invulnerable. Senno is the first one to really fall, and in the follow-up fight, DQZ does follow suit. Expose Me only have to cap once, keep that in mind, and they're winning. They are winning this dry fight, and it is wonderful. It is a 3-1.
See, they throw the soldiers in, but they keep it at that. Even that's a bit spicy for me. I think I would have preferred if we all just kind of chilled a bit on the point line, but they throw the soldiers in, and the scouts planted their feet into the point, into the ground, and they knew that they just had to get that capture. And people get kind of shocked how quickly it does capture, because you usually don't have the room to get a ×5 cap going. And yeah, it was pretty good from Expose Me. I think this shows a lot of technique, I think, on the King of the Hill game mode, or this Viaduct map in particular, between these two teams. Gremlins, they were kind of going for a more classic, El Clasico, we're going to out-DM you, King of the Hill. But the Kings were actually the ones focusing on the hill.
We saw a wide array of, well, success formulas at work here. It was interesting as well, as Gremlins headed into the lead early on, albeit it wasn't even their map pick, but probably felt as if they could have easily clawed that after this very first stellar round. The winning conditions constantly seemed to shift. Sniper being important, but then double scout being important. After the soldiers went so important from Expose Me, going deep, shooting a lot apart. I mean, Mon still does top the charts here on 35 frags on the losing team though. And Elof definitely with a perfect 1.0 KD, 30 kills, 30 deaths. Most deaths, do you care if you win? Another rhetoric question. Answer is no. Because DQZ, look at that. 29 deaths, but only 9 kills.
Yeah, it's a sad, sad world to play soldier in a game where you're the lone little soldier rider. No fakes for you, no distraction for you. You are doing a lot of thankless work, and if you just don't know how to make it work, and also if you're just not getting as much beam, which incidentally you're probably not, because that sniper needs to get a bit of loving. It needs that 185 to feel brave against the Owl sniper. So you're usually just left holding the poor wooden spoon. So
Expose Me just played the point better. Like, look at that. Robert has almost double the deaths of Mad Mag. And those came in scenarios where you could simply pressure off this pick alone. But they didn't do it. And the players that were still in the front line simply tore them apart with combined damage. And whenever the blue team didn't trust in Suicide a double soldier into main, which then died, it worked so well for them. They focused so well on single players out here. We have a quick peek at the medic stats as well. 11 medigun charges out of Robert, 2 crit screen charges, and 13 charges out of Mad Mag. Let's say evenly heals, I suppose. But again, Robert dies more, has fewer heals, obviously. But does that really matter? Heal percentage dished out. What does stick out to me here? Mad Mag has more scouts to heal. Did that matter in the end? Again, no.
Yeah, I think something you don't really see on the stat line as well is like an example of medics letting patients die. So, for example, when they are getting jumped, he has the Uber charge. He can save people, but he chooses that he really wants to hold on to this Uber. When then you push it into like just a two-man situation, then you have to use your Uber. Yeah, you survive. Yeah, your logs look good on the medic class, but you're still wasting these Uber charges. If anything, it feels a little bit worse because you end up kind of baiting people into thinking, oh, I'm Ubered, I need to do something, and then they jump in and they feed. So I will give a lot of credit to Expose Me. They had a nice mindset. There's usually a very easy way to go into a panic mode where you start getting sniped and then you start playing these lines or playing these points that you can't really step out or you can't dare do your job because I'm going to get sniped. I don't think Yak even played like there was any difference at all. He was just, I'm going to stand where I do damage. If I die, I die. And it hopefully enables his team a bit more. Also, I will give another little credit to Wooge as well. It felt like he had an epiphany moment for his game where he knew how to kind of play around the arena a bit more. So when he was getting attention, it was very much more like cat and mouse. So when the cat's striking, he's like running away, scuttering away, drawing a lot of attention from these scouts, making them sweat for it, and buying room for his team. Very nice by Wooge in that recovery of the second map, the second half, I should say.
I'm now in my new era of being upfront about metrics. You talked about Robert dropping his players more.
No, Mad Mac dropping his players.
Sorry. Yeah, thanks for correcting that, because they have more kills than the opposing team. They died fewer.
That's
it's
interesting. I guess it's just, I think it's not really so much. It's like those sort of one-off scenarios, because you gotta keep in mind, it's not every minute, every second of the game where the Uber charge is like potential and ready. It's only fragmented parts of the game. So even though you've got a lot of pickoffs being like slammed out from Mon, but those are just like stray little straggler kills. They just kind of add passively through time. It was a lot of time that they would still go in 3 versus 4 or 2 versus 3 over on Expose Me, but they had like the point. They had like an Uber charge. They had these like tools to actually work with and put pressure on the enemy team. And the kills don't really dictate that well on a KOF map like that, especially that kind of game. That was honestly probably the poster child of kill not the greatest thing on King of the Hill.
It's fine. I again said I don't want to make myself popular, just famous. No, but honestly, no, other way around. No, but what I wanted to say, honestly, I mean, it is important what players fall down in off-Uber situation, and that happened, and that explains for me those higher kills here on a team that essentially, though, did lose. And again, maybe Yak playing a bit arrogant, I suppose. I mean, you don't really enable your team space if you stay in main and take a body shot of the enemy team sniper. Evidently, he doesn't shoot another one, but he doesn't have to overcommit in that sense, whether your own soldier has to overcommit. But that is in the past. We are now heading straight to Granary, a different beast at that, and Gremlins had a 2-4 loss on Granary versus the Plucky Luckers, but they still elected to pick Granary. And what I saw is maybe something else that is interesting to point out. The Plucky Luckers really made it very difficult for Gremlins. They played 11 minutes of perma-crits. Thanks, Eon. Thanks, Mac. That's probably a lot of fun to play against.
That's the Eon special, that is.
Yeah, and I can already spoil you a little bit. Gremlins mostly didn't do well in the early parts of the Granary mids because they weren't really sure what to do with their soldiers. They had a try at going rather passive, jumping on the lamp, trying to distract viewpoints of the enemy team, but the Plucky Luckers simply didn't care. They went way more up front with their soldiers and immediately eradicated everything from the enemy team, and at that point, it doesn't really matter if you play the mind games on Gremlins, you're all dead anyway. But they altered the mid-fights after that. Soldiers tried to counter-jump enemy soldiers, and yeah, I don't want to babble on and have a monologue for too long. I will also just talk about that once we get there. But who do you think that favors? I mean, Gremlins picked that here, but I suppose it is a demo map, essentially.
Analysis-wise, to say that you lose an official on this map but then still go on to play it later in your next official kind of tells me you've been to the workshop and you've looked over those mistakes. So I'm actually really interested to see what Gremlins have adjusted compared to their first go-around. Obviously, this is a fake. We are just going to rejig the config and then we're actually going to go for realsies. But yeah, I think it's a very healthy sign, if I'm honest, if I see a team still pick Granary after a loss.
And even if they have been on the workshop, we will see now as Granary is brought forth here. It is picked by the Gremlins, sorry, cut that. It is picked by Gremlins. They were slain 2-4 by the Plucky Luckers, but they've been to the workshop. They've also looked very well in that set official, and Yak so fast here on the mid. Sano immediately eradicated, so passive, honestly. What was that?
Yeah, he was basically shut out. No health kit for you, and very exposed over on the left-hand choke when you really haven't got the initial support set up from your health pack, and they couldn't really take the demo and fight. Credit to Yak, he's been quick on not just this map, but also on Viaduct as well.
Alright, all my research completely thrown out of the window because the soldiers didn't matter in the end, since if Seno isn't even on mid, who cares at all, and he's immediately dead. But already air is taken up to the air, well, to the upper parts here of the lunchbox. They don't really find anything consequential, though. Mad Mac was able to be kept alive, and now the battle for the second point does continue. It is usually exemplified by early soldier spam, but everyone is leaving so far.
Yeah, that could have gone a bit hairy there. DQZ wasn't quite in position, ready for that top push, but it's fine. Utka putting out that fire without catching himself aflame, so he will recover things for his squad. They're going to make another go at it, though. Two soldiers hanging out in the little lunchbox, and well, we throw one soldier in, and we lose our own medic. That isn't going to plan.
Yeah, that was a sticky trap, and they've elicited on them on overcommitting. Yak sticks something, that's nice, but it doesn't really matter. Robert walks into a sticky trap. They sent all four of them to the lunchbox and the low ground of that, but didn't work at all. They've thrown something into the fray. I commend that. Apparently, though, you do only get a drop out of that. Mad Mac did pop an Uber, which doesn't make it so bad, and you can defend your second point in the yard, I suppose.
Yes, they're trying to spam out the yard. They're a bit disconjointed here because Yak is on the wrong side of the things and even doesn't get his sticky trap off. Mon, though, is brought down low to the follow-up stickies, and God, I bet the core is really missing Yak around now, but he's hoping to just go unnoticed. Ninja demo, and I guess it will work out, kinda?
Not that synchronized on Plucha and DQZ. DQZ could have slaughtered them all if he went in 1 second earlier or 2 seconds earlier. They went relatively weak. Also, Uber is forced quite preemptively, honestly. Seno on a 3-1 KD, but add another death here to his kill tally, and Robert pops significantly later. They're not in any chaseable position, though. It seems as Mad Mac is completely alone. They have some distracted viewpoints, though. Links up with Mon. 1v1 here, Air versus Mon.
It's time for the walk of shame, Mon. You've missed 6 of your scatter shots, and now it's time to just taxi your medic out. That's all you're good for, as he will run away in shame. But yeah, nice little turn from Expose Me. I guess it was very tempting to just double down on the Mac kill, but instead they will go back and deal with all those flankers and behind players from Expose Me just to kind of keep things neat and tidy.
Seno has to pay some wonderful money here to the bridge. That was the most helpful player in that scenario. Blocked all the rockets, but Elof shoots 2 direct rockets here into DQZ. Seno follows suit. They all crumble. They all fall. Utka is the scout taxi this time around. I don't know, Turbo, what you had today for dinner, but you are already, a bit critically talking about those gamers. Take it out on me. Don't take it out on those scouts missing 6 shots in a row.
Well, we are into last. There's no sentry gun. Well, you can call the level 1 a sentry gun set up. Mad Mac brought down low, but not popping, as we are just holding steadfast here, trusting in our scowls. And Alof wants to punish. He gets the kill against Mad Mac. And where is Robert? Robert's gone.
1v1.
Soki
Against Scout on the last point. Can he find the Scout? Can eventually, as Mon helps out. That was so close. Robert, in all of that, somehow snucks out. We saw the kill feed flaring up with 3 blue players, then 3 red players, but Robert lives, and Mad Mac doesn't.
I bet a medic can't win there, because I bet if the medic stayed, for his scout buddy, he would have got punished by his team. Like, why are you not guaranteeing the victory? You should have ran away. But because he ran away, his scout is probably screaming. He was like, why didn't you stay with me? I could have won that. There's just no winning for a medic class, I feel.
And for our viewers, Morton's fork is not something you eat with, but that was the dilemma we saw there. But Yek now is shooting the center gun apart from the little barrels, but it is barreling him to the respawn queue here. The rocket that was from Plucha, and immediately Mad Mac is responded in kind. 18 seconds here on him, and it is a dry fight. No medics on the field anymore, only Seno and Mon left alive. 2v1. Can he battle? Can he win? Double soldier, and it is prominent. It is also superior to a scout.
Yeah, good thing they had an Uber, and so much, a lot of good grace is kind of given to them in that attack there, because it looked like they were winning on Gremlins. A lot of good turnarounds and kind of unprecedented plays, and well, it will still be 1 round on the board for Expose Me, but it's not the most dominating.
Let's look at a genuine mid-fight this time around. Ben already knows it. We have the cam now on Seno. How fast is he on the rollout? Is he shot down early?
He's quicker.
He is not. He's very weak, but Yak is this time around coming through his own garage. And also the sticky is not hit on Seno. No, it only bounced off his own back and off his body. But now the soldiers are leaping into the sky here. Our viewpoint is a bit deviated as everyone is absolutely emulsified by those blue soldiers.
Yes, very annoying. 2 super pencils into the sky for these soldiers, and like a meteor. Like, what on earth are you supposed to do? Everyone bunched up on that side. Scouts dodging, soldiers dodging. The only person that couldn't dodge was the medic. Mad Mac getting taken out, and then Robert, it was very easy for him to play the game. The enemy, the medic is down. I just need to keep safe.
Gremlins doing the same mistakes than we've seen on the Plucky Luckers, whoever watched that match. They should have played a bit more passive, but they rotated into the enemy team's garage to try to meet Yak, but he was already backed out. Nothing really to be gained, and they simply walked into a height disadvantage against a double soldier that was maybe called, but eventually just unleashed the barrage of rockets downhill, and therefore it went downhill, quite frankly. It is now a 50% Uber advantage here for Robert. They're buffing their players up, and let's send it.
I think actually a good strategy for, okay, no time for strategy talk, we're going in with the Uber. We have the sentry gun being actually alive for a long time, and they have to retreat back to their side of the map. Mon rotates back out, takes the fight against there. Buff Scout will lose out against the might of Gremlins and their sort of soldier play, and just soldiering through all of that Uber.
Almost easy rotate. The sentry gun was down, yeah, heavy tanked a lot of damage, but ultimately both soldiers still on the field and can then re-bomb. And infrequent enough now to step on the point here, but the stickies are deterred. But Elof is so close here. Mad Mac basically pops it onto instinct. He saw the combo in the front. They are absolutely emulsified. Once more, another scout evaporated, and a soldier still hiding in their backlines. Also, they can team up with Soki. They cannot. Elof is the only one left alive.
It's a little annoying. Alof could maybe backcap this and waste a bit of time. Look at the back and forth in between Mon and Utka to realise who we're going to send in, how we're going to deal with this soldier. So this is time wasted in of itself. Alof now capping the point, mighty ×1, and Mon coming in for the mighty Z, and he might get picked off as well. And Alof can continue this, but the respawners will kind of set him apart. But the push now for Gremlins just feels a bit weird.
He weaponized his positioning enough, since Yak also falls down in the front line, doesn't really have a whole lot of support. Certain operatives here need to step out, namely Wooch shoots so much damage at Utka, forces him out of the fight. Plucha and DQZ also very weak, cannot initiate, cannot really rebomb. Plucha now receives a buff, rebombs, and Robert is so much exposed, as the name tag does spell out.
Okay, a little clumsy there. Wooch getting a nice double kill, and all the sort of tripping over shoes and like stumbling over rockets will kind of delay more time. This is just another repeat of the second where, yeah, they win, but they leave one little kind of grey area behind, and it just delays things so much more than they were hoping for. Mad Mac popping off Uber, or should I say force the pop, as he will end up not really capitalizing with it.
Mon finds a soldier in his face, DQZ finds nothing at all, only his own demise. And if you see the kill feed, it is only those singular operatives here cleaning up players on Expose Me. They're also checking whether or not there's any soldier close. It is only Plucha that they have to watch out for. The soldiers were the main predominant dictating force. Utka hides in a forward position here, Yak is down, and that can definitely halt your forward trot and slow that down to a counter, mayhaps, as Soki though is surveilling it all, but the midpoint was usually exemplified by soldiers. Immediately though, Utka responds in kind, and Senok walks on forward. They do not have a demo man, keep that in mind, the blue team.
Okay, this is kind of cute. Soldiers kind of forcing ways in, kind of baiting them in the corner. They pop off Uber charge. This could hurt because Mad Mac has got no help from his team. Oh wait, sorry, Utka's arrived! Okay, a little late to the party, but we'll keep his boy alive and well. And Yak, during all of this, is playing security camera. He is there in spirit, and only spirit right now, because his body's disappeared.
No, I think he's also there in the comms. I know him enough to say that he probably comes, and now he's uncloaking. Wooch, so enlightened on the lamp here, but can Yak hit any pistol shot? Yes, it's a trade, essentially. He even walks on the iron bomber pipe. That was perfect. Demo man trade, that was.
Man, Gremlins seem to have be using a monkey's paw this game. They wish, like, oh, I really wish I win second, but then they, like, the twisted hand coils down one finger and they pay a different price. It's hidden. It feels like nothing, but it's actually just annoying and kind of devastating for them.
Wooch traps Sano a bit in the forward spawn. We have to keep the bigger picture in mind, and so do Gremlins need to do that. This game is sometimes riddled a bit with cheeky strats, namely by Yak. I called they do not have
Sano's gone down.
They do not have a demo man, and now also Gremlins do not have a demo man. How did he just die in an off-Uber scenario?
Wooch is still chasing him from behind, and Sano was setting stickies up a little bit behind him, but he was brought down so low to run away, I guess, from that said soldier. And this is what I'm talking about, the monkey's paw. They just keep losing little assets alongside their victories.
Yes, the monkey's paw. You cannot spell monkey's paw without Mon. He's backcapping now. Can they block this midpoint? They probably don't even have to, as he is absolutely free.
Nobody's dying either.
Free for this guy. The monkey's paw. Mon is absolutely just saving his team right now. Easy as that. Make it the 1-1 tie. What a curveball. Mr. Epic is here to pound.
Yeah, if they actually lost a player earlier in all that little fighting, they would have had a player and a soldier deal with Mon on the back cap, but they just didn't die at all. It was kind of like, well, like you said, a reverse monkey's paw. They lost so hard that they won.
Sometimes you have to lose to not lose.
Well, I'm writing that down in the
Seno is also writing down that he has now a third consecutive altered mid-fight. Now he enters from the top, but the result is the same. Goes down to 31 damage basically, or damage numbers here. Wooch so high, but doesn't find the follow-up shot on to Mad Mac, and they don't really, narrow their own views down on those soldiers. No, they play their own game here on Gremlins, and it's working out better.
So low, everyone's so low, but by the skin of their teeth and by the modern crossbow, they will come back into the fight. And bot down, Mon is the tide turner though, finds the frags, get a lot of good damage onto Yak. They're forced to use their Uber. Buxton and God get the memo though. They're like, why are they glowing?
Gremlins this time around played a mid-fight, rather passive, played their own game, soaked up one singular soldier bomb since the scouts were controlling the high ground. They couldn't have a double soldier bomb, and that worked out like a charm, worked out so perfect. Robert had to use an Uber, basically being forced, and they still do feature this large Uber advantage, yet a secondary soldier pick for free basically.
Yeah, tenacious flank there. Yak did the good thing by cutting off the door for the combo to follow up on the busted in flank, but the flank was just not as tenacious as DQZ and Uka, so they pop in Uber now. No sentry gun really to set up and deal with. They don't even have to finish off the sentry gun, they just need to get on the point, and that's what they do. I'm really proud of them there. I was a little worried that they would kind of focus and really tunnel vision on this sentry gun, but it wasn't even built. They could just stand on the point.
The glow of Gremlins isn't for cosmetic effort only, they made the most that they needed, the optimal use out of that Uber gun charge, since Yak is exposed, doesn't hit the Benny Bind fast enough, killed, can't even block the point anymore, and immediately it is riddled with those red players gaining the ground, gaining the cap time in the end, and it was the back cap from Mon that saved them to get the tie, but now they definitely have wonderful combo positioning. Senno comes into the fight much more prominently and prevalent here on the mid-fight is that he's still decently healthy to offer some sort of opposition. Yak really tries to shoot some players on the high ground, doesn't really work though, and DQZ also only fake bombing. Yes, Mon has so much space here delivered, and again, they're playing their own sort of game around the crate, and it's working so much better for them.
Shout out to DQZ there. When he realised he was getting attacked, the best defense is a good offense. He just jumped away from them and started kind of faking himself, and that play in from the ramp room just had no teeth to it over on Expose Me.
Again, Gremlins simply play their own crates and have scouts on top, and then only a singular soldier really can come through with around 100 HP. Madback can simply surf that out. He can't even hit the follow-up rocket. Essentially though, they suicided one player forward, and that enables now Expose Me to cap the midpoint.
Sano, where the fuck are you? Like, they just walked in. They just walked in, and where is my demo man? There's no spam, there's no nothing. Sure, he was watching the flank. Can't we put a scout on that?
The blue battle group though wants to make landfall here. The red rascals are trying to protect Mad Mac. Mad Mac doesn't pop. Is he mad? Is he Mac? He is alive either way. And oh! He even takes a stray long range sticky but doesn't drop. Had a soldier point blank in his face, didn't pop.
Alright, so we have an even Steven situation. There should be plays here in the book for both teams to deal with this. Woj comes in like a bat out of hell and gets sent back to it, so they will go for a sniper over. This is a bit weird, but it's a long walk.
The long walk home, or the long walk to the battlefield here, shows some love to Alof. He will probably show them the minus 150 or the minus 450. Where do we really enable your sniper? He's now peeking from the choke. They should be aware of this though. And
yeah.
But
basically, exactly where he's picking from. That is the best play for the sniper to kind of play off, I would say. But it does limit your targets. You're basically going to get a scout, you're going to get a soldier. It's like advanced level sniper. You need to do the first course before you unlock the next course.
Minus 150 on Mon doesn't really matter though, as Mad Mac is hiding in the... in the corner. He has him cornered, so maybe some player could charge in, but doesn't really enable that many entrance ways here. Alof is still peering and peeking toward this position, but no one is really peeking their head out.
Yeah, if this was an older era of Medic, this would probably hurt more, but, you know, Mad Mac can just pop his head out, shoot a crossbow here and there, keep his team alive from his position. So it's not really the biggest win they hope. The best thing about this is you know where Mad Mac is standing, and you can maybe throw your soldiers in to play off this position.
Indeed, but the diversion also didn't really work, since those red scouts are aware of that. You can simply tear the soldier if he jumps in a new one, since you can still receive buffs, you can still receive heals, and Alof now has a secondary rotate now, but he's probably spotted. Still decently healthy, but goes down to around 70 HP. Only has 2.5 minutes, by the way, with this clock to make it work.
Yeah, and I remind you, the Russians are up in this scenario. Yak goes down, so this could usher a push out of them, because Alov on Sniper is not a good combat class to have during a push. And yeah, look, already being exposed here. He will pick up a health pack and the arrows as well, but that's a lot less healing for the rest of his squad. And they just waltz in over on Gremlins. They've got the grounds, but they're a bit... Oh, Huxon, nice rocket. And gets a bit of loving as well. Robert is caught sleeping at the door, though. Will have to sacrifice his soldier buddy to keep himself alive. And Yak is back enough to get his medic safe and sound.
Can he hit the follow-up pipe? I accede to this sequence of play from the red side, but they can now be forced by Alov jumping in, probably even lives after all of that. The blue Uber didn't find a whole lot. The red Uber finds even less, because they all went forward, lost their fighting force, have some wonderful pipe spam here from Yak for the retreat route, and now they're already trampling forward, migrating to that left side. Plucha is still though lethal and can control the behind area.
A bit greedy from Pluxer and Mon there. They wanted to kind of sniff around at the back of this flank push from Expose Me, but because they made that, they kind of signed off their lives, because Yak could just come around through the connector of the middle and then just cut off their exit way. And now they've got two less players for this last defense. Sana's going to go down, and the point is unlocked. And they have one lowly soldier that can shoot rockets at it, but you have way little in the barrel to keep this defense up. It's 2-2.
That was very simple. You simply shouldn't converge at the incorrect spots there for Expose Me, and you will win this round, and they exactly did that. Basically only had to watch out for one singular soldier, maybe shoving them and pressing them into the left shutter, but since they dealt with him and they had essentially 2 picks before that even started, it worked out like a charm. Defensive team had no scouts either, so no off classes, nothing to really detain those aggressive players walking in. Had an Uber in the bank essentially as well from the prior engagement, and that worked so easy. It's a tie once more.
Sano dancing around the stickies there. It's a good thing Yak hasn't got any eyeballs right now, as he will not pop those stickies off. He's just covering the battlefield, being annoying, and Sano walks right into it, the most prime sticky of your life. He is a dead man walking. I say he's a dead man walking. Mad Mac is keeping him from the grave. How many crossbows does this Demo Man need to keep himself alive?
Wooch Wooch basically won this mid-fight alone, the early parts of that, and Air is now shooting Utka apart. Sano follows suit. They all collapse there. It was a wonderful rocket ricochet, a lot of just area denial shots unleashed from Rouge and accompanying players on the high ground. They slowly took their own ground on the crates, then had a high bomb, then had scouts charging through the middle, and the demo was also locked out since he simply didn't have any space. He had to focus on the soldier early on. And yeah, I mean, this is how you take it with, honestly, dry fight aggression. Expose Me very convincing in their own combo movement, and they even have a large Uber advantage to have another round here in front of their eyes.
Yeah, Salon just needed to shift gear, I think. But anyway, we are at last now. Maybe we can recover this with nice early sentry build by Mon, ready for this Uber charged, and DQZ will be the first one down, and Uka will actually tick out here on the heavy weapons guy, but it's bought them enough space to give them a chance at this fight, and they're kind of taking their times over on the soldiers, letting playing their cards really slowly. Mon, 1 HP warrior, will manage to trade out, and there you go. Nice play by Gremlins. It was just about making favorable trades in all this exchanging.
1 HP monster, honestly. I mean, he just focused on those weak players. Air comes close with a heavy class on the offense, I suppose, but also on the defense, because you want to lock them out of even pushing into the second, but evidently Gremlins are not going to do that, especially since they do feature Uber disadvantage. You can now position Air on top, weaponize his own positioning, but also buff him early. 450 HP is difficult to deal with. Utka, though, is a sniper, and that's a hard counter to a heavy.
Yeah, so they just need to focus on not having their players die too early on Expose Me. I know during a heavy strat it seems very tempting to throw everybody and hit them really hard and like have the heavy finish them off. Oh, they don't start off well with a kick onto Woods starting off, and they take out the sentry gun. Now, can they find the low players here to plink and plot at? Ed doesn't really have the foothold that he was probably hoping for, but he does take a lot of damage and aggro away from the rest of his team to play the point, but they use the Uber charge so much later. Oh, that old chestnut. People forget about that.
That was so important here, but it's only a demo man on the point. Essentially, couldn't be a full wipe. It is Wooch living. But they played that perfectly with the heavy. I have to admit, you do not want to have Uber popped onto him early. Yes, he doesn't die that way, but he also doesn't accomplish anything because he isn't that fast, you know, it's the slowest class in the game. But eventually, they brought him in the after fight, shot a lot down on those players, just rained damage down, but this red Uber really saved them, and still it is keeping them in the game here. Robert didn't really have anyone to heal.
The sniper, Alov, they didn't account for that at all, and this really tore their fight apart, and it was not an easy fight to start off with as well. They didn't have an Uber charge, they were just going in things quite dry on the terms of expose me, and look, they're already at last.
Full wipe. And another wonderful camera taunt here to throw into the fray. Yek is already completely exposed on the last point, but guess what? This last point is exposed. The damage that was prior inflicted could not be undone. Immediately being locked into your own spawn. A 3-2, quite a hefty one, quite a brutal one. That's gotta sting.
That's probably some old ways about Uka. They're thinking like, oh, he's expended all his stickies. I can definitely go out and fight him. Yeah, but that's I can't remember what that gun is called now, but the pipes that stay completely still, basically a pseudo sticky trap, just launching and denying it. Iron Bomber, there we go. I'm getting caught up in the game of TF2 20 years later.
In the big year of 2026, no irony involved, but the Iron Bomber is basically a secondary sticky launcher. Now Seno comes close here. They try to play their own game again on the left side. It is Wooch being the first victim, but immediately it is responded in kind onto DQZ, a trade essentially on the soldiers. Alof can now make landfall, though it does enable Mad Mac, and now Plaxa is also shot apart. They basically circuit themselves out here with the soldiers and trapped a little bit in the garage.
Team, you're kind of getting backcapped, if you can call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just going to keep going. See you, suckers! We're off to your second point, and the panic is going to start setting in now. Yak has done the correct play. He's denying. He is the deny man, while his scout is on capture control. But it's going to... Oh no, that's the one thing that they just did not need to happen. Was basically, this was like a forced pincer, as you are hoping that your Uber fight or your kind of panic gets you some net kills, or you can play against the other players that aren't healed. They just, and before I could even say it, Robert just needs to not die, and he died.
A nice serenade of words is ringing in my ears. What wonderful words does Yak have for Robert? But eventually he had to pop it there in the end. Wooch trades out with DQZ. That seems to be a recurring theme as well, but I talked about it. They were absolutely shuttled and rotated out counterclockwise here, but eventually a medic drop, and that is not on the cards here.
A lot of it is still alive. He landed on the health pack. That was pretty cool.
Lucha is picking Yak apart. Not at all. He protects himself, and that is boding very well for your own positioning in the afterfight, since they can absolutely rip them to bits here. Soki's chasing another wipe, if you can even call it like that on the cards.
It started strong for Gremlins, you know, going on to the Alov pick. That probably would have been certain, but it just feels everything Gremlins do isn't bad, it's just so expensive. Everything's just so expensive, health-wise, ammo-wise, attention-wise. Mon comes out a desperate play on heavy, but there's just nothing set up in time, and it just seems like these connective tissues of Gremlins is really weak compared to every other aspect of this team.
Expensive times, inflationary games, I suppose. Everything is just so costly, honestly. But that is what is happening if you do not weaponize your own position, and you always, I don't know, walk into very weird 1v2s, 2v1s. I mean, they are doing very well in the mid-fights also. Guess what? Mac now is truly mad. It's a crit streak to mid.
Okay, Sanu got the health pack. He can maybe take the fight against Yak. There we go. Now that's what I'm talking about. But they got a crit streak as well, so they will dial this up to a 5th gear here, and I like it. It just gets fast gameplay. It kind of keeps you snowballing. It keeps you inherently winning against the Uber kind of exchange, which always plays out slowly. But they need to keep moving forward here. They can't be dissuaded by any soldiers dropping to these random woods picks.
Crits up now, and 4% here do separate the blue team, but straight up our bags, as they probably do not expect it. Now they pop the Uber here. The comeback story is still brewing, but now Senno has to fight off a glowing blue scout. Can they keep the composure? Plaksha is immediately plucked to bits. They were keeping track of what was behind them. Utgar still battles a 1v3 basically, but DQZ helps out greatly in the afterfight. Apparently though, the blue players are just too merry and too many.
The classic pocket soldier, shoot ground, get kill ×3. Very nice from Alov there. Maybe a bit too cute over on Gremlins. You have Pluxa like floating around the Uber thinking like, oh, they don't see me here, but a swift turn later, he gets picked off and the dominoes start falling, especially when they're in that tight square space. Alov playing to his strength on the soldier class and just getting a lot of damage out in the small space, and will go down now, but exchanges its life, and this is more time just being wasted to poor Gremlins.
We are at risk at pointing out maybe reaching realms of mathematical impossibility, but I'm still believing here into Gremlins popping in the crit streak very early on, basically ignoring the soldier though, doesn't really find anything. Plucha is following this up onto Wooch, but only 90 seconds to go here. If Robert does block it with the blue battle group, yes, they can clean the red rascals up. It's only really a soldier in behind the lunchbox, but tick down time, delay time, you're going to look in wonderful shape. Deck also has wonderful pipes here to immediately eradicate those green rascals, red rascals.
Oh, it's a shame as well. Gremlins were obviously winning this game at one point, but it was just a few mistakes, I think, from Gremlins that kind of took away from all of the hard work, and these mids have also not been going their way as well, and that's not without grand effort. I see the cycle between these two teams, changing up, trying to make these adaptations, throwing out a rock instead of scissors, but they always seem to meet the wrong rock or meet the paper.
The latter, oh, the Goomba Stomp here, that is definitely something for the highlight reel though. DQZ, otherwise you're falling. However, that was a problem in the end. You have to cut that out in the frag movie or whatever you want to even call that. But, I mean, the latter mid-fights, Gremlins did win, but on the rotations and on the conversions, call it like that, they've just never been really clinical, always caught out by one or two players in their wayside, and apparently that is not the case. 8 seconds tick down, Yak is on Sticky Jumper, we're on the depths now of the top division, but Expose Me win that 4-2 against Gremlins and take a gnarly 6-0 victory in this Week 2 official.
The thing about this Gremlins team is that obviously this is the first time I'm watching them. I probably need to get a bit more data in this, and I've been kind of getting this with a lot of teams this season, but I like the engine of this team. I think it's really, they've got some spice to them, they've got some personality, they have some really good things on show here, but it's just the connective tissue, it's just the little bits and that just go a bit hairy and get leaned in against really hard by these experienced teams. And yeah, they did very well, and expose me, actually exposing their weaknesses, really striking at the core and heart of them, when it just feels like a couple of glaring mistakes they just need to go back at the tape at and just like cut out, and I think they'll be surprised at how much growth they'll get out of this Gremlin squad.
I'm going to be the boring one who suffices to the Chronicler's duty. Soki has 33 frags, 12 deaths, 2.8 KD. I wasn't really talking about him. We saw him on different teams throughout, and also maybe sometimes a bit overshadowed by Andy, let's call it like that. I mean, but from a flank scout, he now shifts to a bit more of a, pocket position, and that definitely does work out like a charm. He does seem to revel in the chaos. Yak teams are usually prone to chaos. Air also did do quite well for himself. Robert kept alive. That was great. That was interesting, and I suppose they have their success formula figured out. Maybe Gremlins haven't yet. That is, I think, the glaring difference. Mon also decently high up on the kill tally, call it like that, but eventually those rotations out of Gremlins just didn't really convince me from second to last, especially. Sometimes lacking ideas, bit threadbare plays in front of our eyes. Is there any singular player that sticks out to you? I mean, now it is flipped vice versa. 114 frags fall in the favor of the winning team, 97 only. Then opposed and exposed by Gremlins. On the other side, 2 drops out of Robot, 1 drop out of Mad Mag, a decent heals dish out of both medics. But do you have anything else to call out here?
I was pretty critical at Sano a few times in the game where I felt like he was disconnected from his team, or just like little at the butt end of these plays that felt costly. Like they would win a connective part of like mid or second, but Sano would get picked off, or he gets lost on the flank, or he's away from his combo and he's not there to dish out the initial damage for his team, or he doesn't really change gears on mid. It felt like a few times it was I do wonder what the comms are like for the Russians, because maybe there's just a lot being screamed in this that you can't pay attention to all the things that are happening on the mid. And a quiet mid is usually like an easier mid, obviously. So I wonder about that. The soldiers as well, a little bit out of synchronization with their teams. I do kind of wonder, especially a lot of this connective pushing from these soldiers is about making space, about guiding their teams in unscathed and getting a lot of ground for free, where it felt like a lot of them is just kind of going in, they make space, yeah, but they end up dying pretty early on, and it kind of exposes them a little bit. And Mad Mac has maybe more of a contingent. It reared its head a little bit in from the previous map, where he wants this perfect Uber. He's like, oh, I've lost the player now, the perfect Uber's gone, I'm not popping. It's gone. It's disappeared. This is not the time to use it. I'm just going to bank this for the next time. But usually in those little fights, there is no next time. And Expose Me, I don't think they really play for going for Mad Mac at all. They just keep trying to get cheeky picks on the healed beam players.
They kept rotating to flanks. If you put your combo into a opposing team's flank that does not predict it, you do have here advantage, and the other team is not ready for it. Therefore, they cannot exploit a dent in your own armor to be left wide open. But that was it, essentially. And from my experience of playing with Russians, playing against Russians, usually they do blast very loud, very cool techno music, so maybe that should riddle their comms a little bit. But no, that was definitely a very exciting game once more. I mean, this top division, which is a merge of, let's say, Division 1 of top divisions, it is what it says, and Prem, very much similar and liable, I should rather say, for players throwing a tantrum up and playing cheeky, playing unconventional and unorthodox. But that was it from us. That was Seasons 52's week 2 game here between Expose Me, and the Gremlins. Expose Me coming back with better rotations, honestly. Won that 6-0 on Product and on Granary. I was, am, and will be Domato. With me was TurboTaps. Ben, as always, not as always, but on the production. And when he's there, that means business. But we'll catch you next time on printstream.gg or on essentials.tf.
See ya.